हाँ आप ट्राई करिए सर। Diksha, please start the session. Please unmute yourself.
स्क्रीन आ रहा है?
Yes sir.
हेलो, स्लाइड्स आ रहा है ना?
Yes sir. इसको फुल स्क्रीन कर लीजिए सर।
Okay, now we are going to start next session. So in this session, we'll start with the discriminant analysis, and if we'll get some time, we'll complete our cluster analysis also. So this slide already we have discussed in the last session. If you see this classification of the multivariate technique, and finally this, if any dependency technique has only one dependent variable and the form of the dependent variable is non-metric, so in that situation we should go for the discriminant analysis. So first I would like to explain something about the regression analysis, because that both this discriminant analysis and multiple regression analysis both are the dependency technique, and in both cases normally we used to explain dependent variable using independent variables. Only difference is in multiple regression analysis we consider that nature of the data is interval or ratio scale, but in discriminant analysis it should be non-metric, means it should be that categorical scale. So already you know about the multiple regression analysis. As we know, this regression analysis define the mathematical relationship between the dependent and independent variable, or we can say that this multiple regression analysis, by using the multiple regression analysis we can predict, we can project our dependent variable using some independent variables, right? So basically in the multiple regression analysis we have some statistics like determination of the coefficient, that is the R square. R square will explain that how much variation of dependent variable can be explained by the independent variable. So the same thing we have in the discriminant analysis, only name is different. So in R square, suppose in multiple regression analysis, suppose we have one multiple regression analysis, that is the, if you want to explain expenditure using income and family size. So here here R square is suppose it is coming 0.80, that means 80% variation in expenditure can be explained by the income and family side. So this is the interpretation of R square. In the next table, in multiple regression analysis, we used to see the significance of R square, whether R square is significant or not. If your R square is not significant, if your determination of coefficient is not significant, then we should not apply our regression analysis. Before that, we should check the multicollinearity problem. If multicollinearity problem is there, so then also we should not go for the multiple regression analysis. So multicollinearity के लिए हम क्या करते हैं? We used to estimate the correlation coefficient among the independent variable, and on the basis of those relationship we decide whether multicollinearity exists or not. If multicollinearity exists, we should not go for the multiple regression analysis. Next, we use that unstandardized coefficient. On the basis of the unstandardized coefficient, we used to make one regression equation. We used to make one mathematical relationship between the dependent and independent variables. One another variable we use in multiple regression analysis, that is the standardized coefficient. Standardized coefficient will explain in multiple regression analysis. Standardized coefficient will explain the contribution of each independent variable, means how much variation will be explained by the independent variable. Means suppose if standardized coefficient for the income is 0.80 and standardized coefficient for the family size is 0.60, that means that more contribution of income is more compared to family size. So these are the terminology, these are the some points which are related to multiple regression analysis. We are going to use same thing but in different form in the discriminant analysis. So now we'll start discriminant analysis. As we know that whenever your objective is to explain dependent variable using independent variables, in that situation we should go for either for multiple regression analysis or discriminant analysis. If your regression and if your scale of your dependent variable is ratio or interval scale, तो हमको क्या करना चाहिए? We should go for the multiple regression analysis. And if your this form of the data, form of the dependent variable is nominal scale, categorical scale, then we should go for the discriminant analysis. By using the discriminant analysis, we make differences between or among the different groups on the basis of some independent variable. For example, suppose you want to make the two groups for your customers, satisfied group and non-satisfied group, on the basis of some independent variable like age, their occupation, and there's some other thing. So in that situation, we should apply a discriminant analysis. So this is the major difference between the multiple regression analysis and discriminant analysis. Multiple regression analysis is used when your dependent variable is taken using ratio scale or interval scale, and if your dependent variable is taken using this nominal scale, in that situation we should go for the discriminant analysis. If your dependent variable is nominal scale, if you have collected information using ratio scale, or if your form of your data is metric, and your objective and you want to apply discriminant analysis, so first you have to convert those ratio scale data in nominal scale data. Then we should go for the discriminant analysis. So discriminant analysis, if you see the definition on the screen, the discriminant analysis join a nominally scale dependent variable with one or more independent variable. The form of the, sorry, here the form of the dependent variable, this is not dependent variable, this is the independent variable. The independent variables are interval scale or ratio scale or combination of the both. By mistake I have written here dependent variable, but this is the independent variable. Here dependent variable is nominal scale and independent variables are in either interval scale or a ratio scale. So by using the discriminant analysis, we join nominally scale, we define the relationship between nominally scaled dependent variable with interval and ratio scale in independent variables. So this is the definition of discriminant analysis, right? If you take the example, for example, suppose any company has launched any new shirt, and that company want to see the satisfaction of the consumer, means whether they are satisfied or not satisfied. So means we have two groups. So company wants to categorize the all consumers in two groups. So on the basis of age of the consumers, income of the consumers, occupation and attitudes of the consumers towards the shopping. Means here objective of researcher, objective of the manager, CEO of the company wants to categorize all consumers in two parts, in two group, means satisfied consumers group and non-satisfied consumers group on the basis of age, income, occupation of consumers and attitudes of the consumers toward the shopping. So here we should apply discriminant analysis. Here you see the situation is clear, एकदम clear है. आप देखो dependent variable क्या है हमारा, दो कैटेगरी बनाया गया, कैटेगरिकल में दिया गया है कि that one is satisfied consumers and one second group is non-satisfied consumers. And independent variables are taken using ratio scale like age लिया गया है, इनकम होता है, ऑक्यूपेशन होता है, एटीट्यूड्स आर टेकन यूजिंग लिकर्ट स्केल. तो आपका जो डेटा है, तो सभी जो इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स का जो डेटा है, ऑल इंफॉर्मेशन आर टेकन यूजिंग दैट metric data. So and your dependent variable is non-metric. So in this situation we should go for the discriminant analysis. So whenever we conduct discriminant analysis, so we should know the objective, what are the different objectives of the discriminant analysis. Means क्या-क्या हमको करना है जब हम discriminant analysis करते हैं, तो क्या-क्या हमको करना चाहिए. तो we in discriminant analysis we used to develop a discriminant function, or on the basis of a discriminant function. Using discriminant function, we estimate discriminant score. Formula is given here. Di is equal to 0.1, d1x1 plus d2x2 and so on. So using this formula, that we should not bother about this formula, because that software will give the discriminant score. So by using the first we will develop discriminant function, and using that discriminant function we will estimate the discriminant score, and that discriminant score will make the differences between or among the groups. So we have to develop discriminant function. Now next objective हमारा क्या होता है in discriminant analysis? We'll see. Suppose in the last example, if you see, we have taken 4 independent variable: age, income, occupation, and attitudes, right? तो हमारा एक जब हम कभी भी whenever we conduct discriminant analysis, our objective is to see the differences between our objective is to see the differences between or among the groups in terms of the independent variable, यानी जो इसके बेसिस पे हम उसको डिफरेंस कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, वेदर वी कैन क्लासिफाई ऑल कंज्यूमर्स, अगर जो लास्ट एग्जांपल से आप ले लो तो वेदर वी कैन क्लासिफाई ऑल द कंज्यूमर्स on the basis classify in two parts, means whether they are satisfied or not satisfied on the basis of their age, income and that occupation. वो चीज हम एग्जाम करते हैं, वो चीज हम चेक करते हैं. The next objective of the discriminant analysis, the next objective of the discriminant analysis is to determine which predictor variables contributes most to the intergroup differences. As I discussed for the multiple regression analysis, yani suppose in multiple regression analysis, if you remember, I took one example. If you want to explain the expenditure of the household using income of the household and family size, तो एक्सपेंडिचर को कौन अच्छा एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है, वेदर इट इज एक्सप्लेन मोर एक्सप्लेन बाय द इनकम और इट इज मोर एक्सप्लेन बाय द फैमिली साइज, ये आइडेंटिफाई करना जरूरी होता है. दैट कैन बी आइडेंटिफाइड बाय यूजिंग द स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कोएफिशिएंट. we'll see the standardized coefficient of both variable, means income and family size, और जिसका standardized coefficient ज्यादा होता है इसका मतलब उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन ज्यादा है टू एक्सप्लेन डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल. यहाँ पे भी सेम है, हियर आल्सो विल यूज सेम कॉन्सेप्ट. हियर आल्सो विल identify the contribution of each predictors, right, to make the differences between or among the groups. एंड जो भी आपका डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल है उसका जो भी ग्रुप, जितने भी ग्रुप्स हैं उनको एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए हर इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स का क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन है, जिससे हमने इन द दिस एग्जांपल ओनली, if you are making the differences, if you are categorizing these consumers into the two groups, non-satisfied and satisfied, तो इसमें किसका रोल ज्यादा है, इनकम का रोल ज्यादा हो जा रहा है कि रोल ऑफ एज इज मोर. So we have to identify. This is the another objective of the discriminant analysis. So these are the so many applications are there in so many applications are given in the market. If you can apply discriminant analysis in different field of the marketing research, business research, and financial research, and social research also. Here I have taken 2-3 examples. If you see the first example, if you want to make the difference between the heavy, medium, and light use of the soft drinks in terms of the consumption, yes, we can apply the discriminant analysis in same way. If you see then the third example, third application of the discriminant analysis, a bank wants to classify customer as low risk and high risk customer. ठीक है, हम objective of the bank is to classify their customer in two groups, low risk customer and high risk customer. So that means your dependent variable is that risk of the customer, and on the basis of their age, and this is the independent variable, again basis of their income, on the basis of the marital duration. So here if you see, this is the situation, this is the exact situation. Here we can apply discriminant analysis. mean हम classify कर सकते हैं पूरे customer को in two group by using these independent variables, right? We can make this a function and we can classify. So these are the applications of the discriminant analysis in field of marketing research or in business research, even in the finance research also. But overall application, overall use of discriminant analysis, whenever your objective is to explain your dependent variable using independent variables, condition is that if your variable is dependent variable is nominal scale, so we should go for the discriminant analysis. So like factor analysis, here also we have few steps for conducting a discriminant analysis. I have written this a discriminant function, formula for the discriminant function. Again, I will remind you, please don't, we should not worry about the formula, because we'll get the discriminant score by using the software. So here we have 5-6 steps. First step is formulation of the problem. First step is, there also we had formulation of the problem. In the formulation of the problem, we'll discuss, we'll have a separate slide for the formulation of the problem, I think. Then estimate the discriminant function coefficient. We have to estimate the discriminant function coefficient, because without this discriminant function coefficient, we cannot make the discriminant function. And if you are not having discriminant function, you cannot calculate discriminant score for the each object. You cannot calculate the discriminant score for the each respondent, and we cannot make any differences. So next step is to estimate the discriminant function coefficient. Then we have to see the significance of the discriminant function, and finally it is very important to give the interpretation of the result, right? And then we'll see the validity of the discriminant analysis. So these are the important steps for conducting a discriminant analysis. Now we'll discuss one by one. The first step, it was a formulation of the problem. So like factor analysis, here also first we have to decide what is the objective of your study and what is the objective of the discriminant analysis. For discriminant, by applying discriminant, what you want, that we have to explain to you. The second point in the formulation of the problem is that identification of dependent and independent variable. That is very important, because if you are not as a researcher, as a student, no, ठीक है, आपको बता दिया जाएगा कि these are the dependent variable, these are the independent variable, and you apply multiple regression analysis and you can do it. But as a researcher, you have to see your study, your objective of your study, then you have to decide, yes, here we can apply discriminant analysis. And if you have decided or you have taken decision, yes, I will apply this discriminant analysis, then you have to identify dependent variable and independent variable. Means which one is the dependent variable and which are the independent variables, and means which variable you have taken for explanation. So then suppose you have identified, that can be identified by using literature review on the basis of the experience of the research, by using some focus, that qualitative research discussion, means focus group discussion, we have, using these techniques, we can identify some dependent and independent variables. Right. Next point in the formulation of the problem is to see the scale of the measurement. Measurement scale of the variables. हमको check बहुत important है. See, you have to, for any technique, for application of any statistical technique, you have to see the assumptions of that technique, because you see, if you are not considering the assumptions of that technique, so there is no application of that technique. So you have to see the measurement scale of dependent and independent variable. और यहाँ पे ये confirm आपको करना होगा, you have to confirm it whether your dependent variable is nominal scale or not. अगर वो nominal scale नहीं है, तो you have to convert those scale, those information in nominal scale. आप जैसे आप explain, जैसे आप expenditure वाला example ले लो, if you want to explain the expenditure of household using income of the household and the family size, तो here expenditures are given in ratio scale. आप 2000, 5000, 10,000, 15,000, 60,000. This is information. This information is given in a ratio scale. but in this situation, in this situation, you cannot apply this discriminant analysis. So first you have to convert your dependent variable into categorical. Means what we can do, we can make three groups. One, expenditure of the household less than 20,000, expenditure of the household between 20 to 35,000, and third group is more than 35,000. Now you have converted your dependent variable into nominal scale. In the beginning, it was in the ratio scale, it was in the metric form, but now you have converted your information, your dependent variable in nominal scale. Now your data is ready for multiple discriminant analysis. Independent variable like multiple regression analysis, यहाँ पे भी क्या होता है, independent variable it should be metric, right? So sorry. Next up, next step is estimate the discriminant function coefficient. Okay, one more point was there in formulation of the problem. In the beginning of the discriminant analysis, we should divide our sample, whatever information sample data you have collected, we should divide into two parts, maybe equal. First is analysis sample and second sample is validation sample. So we'll conduct discriminant analysis on analysis sample, and then finally we'll check that analysis with validation sample. So now next step is estimation of discriminant function coefficient. As I discussed, in multiple regression analysis also we have some methods to estimate unstandardized coefficient. Here also we have two methods, direct method and stepwise. In direct method हम क्या करते हैं, we will take all independent variables together and then will discriminate, will see the discriminant power, जिसे वहाँ पे हम r square check करते हैं. Using r square we used to remove our independent variables, right? पहले शुरू में सभी को एक साथ सभी को हम ले लेते हैं और according to r square we used to exclude the variables, right? So here also in direct method, first in the beginning we'll consider all independent variables together and then we'll remove one by one. But in stepwise we'll take one by one. First we'll take one independent variable, then we'll see the discriminating power of that variable, and then after that we'll take another variable and we'll see the discriminating power, or finally we'll select how many independent variable we should consider for the discriminant analysis. So for the estimation of the discriminant function coefficient in discriminant analysis we have two methods, direct method and stepwise discriminant analysis, right? So in direct method we'll take all independent variables at a time and accordingly we'll remove one by one, and in stepwise first we'll take one and then according to the power of that variable we'll add some another variables. As we discussed that we have another step, that is to determine the discriminant function. So how we are going to determine, this is the theoretical concept. This is the DI. This DI is the discriminant score for the ith respondent, and these are the D1, D2, D0 are the that discriminant coefficient that we already have estimated. We have discussed in the last slide, and using those discriminant function and x1, x2, x3, x3 are the variables. Using this information what we'll do, we'll estimate the discriminant score, we'll estimate the discriminant score for the each respondent. सभी respondent के लिए हम लोग क्या करेंगे, we'll estimate the discriminant score, and then discriminant score, on the basis of the discriminant score, will decide that whether it will come in which group. So this is the use of the discriminant score. So we have to determine discriminant function on the by using the discriminant coefficient. So you see, you have to see the significance of the discriminant function. ये ऐसा नहीं कि आप कुछ भी ले लोगे. If suppose you have considered any variable and you want to explain that variable using some other variable, so you can get some result. Definitely you are going to get everything. You are going to get that discriminant coefficient, you are going to get a discriminant function, you are going to get structure matrix, everything you are going to get. But whether those terms or whether those statistics are significant or not, you have to see. So we will not go in the detail. One statistical term is there, that is the Wilks lambda. Wilks lambda, using that Wilks lambda, we'll see the validity or significance of the discriminant function, right? Now next is the interpretation of the result. Yes, definitely you have to give the interpretation of the result. Interpretation of the result में आपको बहुत सारे चीजों को देना होगा. Explanation means first you have to how you are going to give the discriminant function, right? लिखना होगा di और उसके फॉर्म में. Then आपको लिखना होगा कि डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल का कितना कंट्रीब्यूशन है, मतलब किसका ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन टू मेक द डिफरेंस बिटवीन आर एंड द ग्रुप, right? Then we have to see the validity of your discriminant analysis, whatever you have done. Like factor analysis, here also we have some statistics which are associated with the discriminant analysis. Definitely, if you are conducting any discriminant analysis, you have to know some statistical terms which are related to discriminant analysis. Because you see, you are going to calculate these statistics, and in your research paper, in your study, in your example, in your problem, you have to give the interpretation of these terminologies. Because you are going to estimate the canonical correlation, definitely canonical correlation will come, but as a researcher, आपको explain करना होगा, you have to explain it, what is the meaning of this canonical correlation, what is the interpretation, meaning this is the different thing, what is the interpretation, अगर canonical correlation इतनी value आई है, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ. Now next is the discriminant score. As we discussed, discriminant score क्या होता है? ना discriminant score is calculated for the each and every respondent. सभी के लिए, सभी ऑब्जेक्ट के लिए आपको discriminant score estimate करना पड़ता है. And how you are going to estimate the discriminant score? Like multiple regression analysis. In multiple regression analysis, हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We used to define mathematical relationship between y and x. तो यहाँ पे भी एक mathematical relationship define करेंगे. di equal to d0 plus d1 x1 plus d2 x2 plus d3 i. तो जो d1 d2 d3 क्या होता है? These are the unstandardized coefficient. तो उसको हम हर वेरिएबल से मल्टीप्लाई कर लेते हैं और उसको सम कर देते हैं. That is the discriminant score. You have to remember it. You are required to estimate discriminant score for the each respondent for the each object. Now here also we are required to estimate the eigenvalue for each function. So here and that eigenvalue for the function will explain the again this power. अगर ज़्यादा है तो इसका मतलब that function has more power and it should be more than 1. Again, then if you have two groups in your dependent variables, suppose satisfied and non-satisfied, there are two groups, so we'll have one function. Suppose there are three groups, high, low and medium, So here we have three group, so we'll get three function, and for each function we have to estimate the eigen value, right? क्या समझ में आ रहा है? हेलो 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 आर यू गेटिंग? हेलो Shall I continue or not? हेलो आवाज आ रही है? Okay. So we discuss one statistics that is eigenvalue for the different function. Next statistics is Wilks lambda. Already we have discussed that value we use to estimate the Wilks lambda for the each independent variable and a whole function. See that in the Wilks lambda for the each independent variable and whole function, and we'll check whether our Wilks lambda is significant or not. Normally ये 0 to 1 के बीच में lie करता है, and we have to see whether Wilks lambda is significant or not. अगर ये significant नहीं है, if your Wilks lambda is not significant for the function, तो हम ये बोलेंगे there is no difference between or among the groups. If your Wilks lambda is not significant for the any independent variable, so we can say that there is no role of this independent variable to discriminate to make the differences between or among the variables. So that's why this role of Wilks lambda is very important. We have to estimate this Wilks lambda, right? This value of the Wilks lambda will lie between 0 to 1. Normally it is tends to 0, so that means there is significant, this Wilks lambda is significant, and there is a role, there is differences between or among the groups. If it is tends to 1, so this Wilks lambda will be not significant. ये होता है, this is the formula for the calculating Wilks lambda. We are not going to give more time on this how you are going to estimate Wilks lambda, because once you apply discriminant analysis using SPSS, will get the value of Wilks lambda for the each independent variable and for the whole function also. So now another statistics which is associated with the discriminant analysis is the standardized discriminant function coefficient. As I discussed in multiple regression analysis also, we use to estimate the standardized coefficient of independent variable. वो क्या बताता है? That will explain the contribution of each independent variable to explain their dependent variable. Here also you estimate the standardized discriminant function coefficient, and the role of the standardized discriminant coefficient function is the same like multiple regression analysis. Here also on the basis of standardized discriminant function, we can see the importance, if we can see the role of independent variable to make the differences between or among the variables, among the group, right? तो ये जिसे वहाँ पे होता है इम्पोर्टेंस स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड रिलेशन कोएफिशिएंट का, कि वहाँ पे हम देखते हैं किस इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स का रोल कितना है, ज़्यादा है, कम है। उसी तरह से यहाँ पे भी डिस्क्रिमिनेंट एनालिसिस में भी हम ये देखते हैं कि स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड डिस्क्रिमिनेंट फंक्शन कोएफिशिएंट का के यूज करके हम ये देखते हैं कि किस इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल का कितना रोल है टू मेक द differences between the group. जैसे हमने जो एग्जांपल लिया था, your objective of the company was to categorize consumers into the two groups, satisfied and non-satisfied group. So on the basis of age, income, and occupation, so we'll estimate the standardized coefficient of all these independent variables, or we'll compare the standardized coefficient, and we'll see किसका ज्यादा है, जिसका ज्यादा स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कोएफिशिएंट होगा, सपोज इनकम का ज्यादा स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कोएफिशिएंट है, तो हम ये बोल सकते हैं, we can say that the role of income is more to make the differences between these two groups, satisfied and non-satisfied, and income का role ज्यादा है compared to age or occupation or attitude. So this is the interpretation of the standardized coefficient, and whenever we conduct discriminant analysis, we should go for the estimation calculation of the standardized discriminant function coefficient. Now, next statistic which is very important, that is the unstandardized discriminant function coefficient. As already we have discussed that by using this unstandardized discriminant function coefficient, we are going to develop discriminant function. And by discriminant function only, we'll estimate the discriminant score, and using discriminant score, we can classify our object, our respondent into different groups given for the dependent variable. So this is the application of unstandardized discriminant coefficient. Like regression analysis. In regression analysis also we used to we have used to estimate the unstandardized coefficient, and using those unstandardized coefficient, what we do, we used to make one mathematical equation, mathematical relationship between y and x1, x2, x3. So this is the meaning of unstandardized coefficient. Now next is function at group centroid. Means what we do, we estimate the center value for the mean value for the both group, उसको हम लोग centroid बोलते हैं. जैसे suppose you have two groups, satisfied and non-satisfied, will estimate the discriminant score for each respondent for the satisfied and for non-satisfied, and then we'll estimate the mean, and for the उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, that is the centroid value for the function. Now we have discussed that meaning of discriminant analysis क्या होता है, how it is different from the multiple regression analysis, right? Then how you are going to conduct that discriminant analysis, what are the different steps for conducting a discriminant analysis, and then we discuss what are the different, if you are conducting discriminant analysis, then what are the different statistics which are associated with the discriminant analysis, and what are the interpretation, what are the uses of those statistics that already we have discussed. Now we'll take one example and we'll go for interpretation of SPSS output. So before that, I would like to know your problem, if you have any problem in discriminant analysis, to know the meaning of the discriminant analysis or how you are going to conduct the discriminant. Please, कोई अगर आपको चीज शेयर करना हो, कुछ पूछना हो तो बताएं, then we'll continue.
Yes, sir, please continue.
Okay. So whenever we conduct any this discriminant analysis using software like SPSS or Stata or anything, so we'll get these tables. This is very important because this software is a servant. Whenever you want, you click, wherever you want, you click, and you can get the result, right? But you have to give the interpretation of the result and what is the application of the result, that you have to explain it. So whenever you conduct any discriminant analysis using software, you will get these tables. First table will explain the summary table. Then summary table में हम लोग क्या मिलेगा, will get it the number of the cases, right? कितने आपने cases लिया है, right? The second table would be the group statistics. In group statistics, I will discuss. I have estimated all these tables and I will discuss it. But before that, I would like to explain what is the meaning of these three tables. So the next step will in the group statistics, will explain the group statistics, will explain the summary of your independent variables, means mean and standard deviation of your independent variables, right? And their dependent for both group and combined group, right? Yani suppose you have two groups, satisfied, non-satisfied, and combined, so we'll estimate the average age of the satisfied group, average age for the unsatisfied group, average age for the combined group, right? And we'll see the equity of the group means. The next table is the pooled within group matrix. ये क्या बताता है? Now you see that as I told in the beginning, this is like multiple regression analysis only, but only thing is that here the form of the dependent variable is different. Other things are same, almost same. तो वहाँ पे भी क्या करते हैं, as I told you, whenever you conduct multiple regression analysis, we have to see the multicollinearity, we have to check the multicollinearity problem, whether multicollinearity problem exists or not. If multicollinearity problem exists, then we should not continue our multiple regression analysis. So here also, since this is the dependency technique, so here also we should go for the to see the relationship between or among the variables, यानी सब variables के बीच में हम correlation निकालते हैं, और if they are related, then we should not continue our discriminant analysis. अगर वो आपस में related हैं, they are highly correlated, then we should not go for the discriminant analysis. But if you remember in the factor analysis, it was different, it was opposite. क्या था उसमें? यही था कि अगर if they are highly correlated, if some variables are correlated, then only we can conduct that factor analysis. If they are not correlated, then we should not go for the factor analysis. इसीलिए उसका कई चीज हम लोग करते हैं, but here it is different. Again, here we'll estimate the eigenvalue table will be there. ये क्या बताता है? As I discussed, eigenvalue will explain the power. So we'll get the, suppose you are having two group, we'll get one eigenvalue, we'll have one function and we'll get one eigenvalue. If you are having two or three groups, so we'll get two eigenvalue, right? Two function and two eigenvalue. That means suppose there are n groups in the dependent variable, so we'll get n minus one function, n minus one eigenvalue. Next table will be the Wills lambda table. As I told you that Wills lambda will be estimated for the both discriminant function and independent variable. सब के लिए तो discriminant function का क्या यूज होता है कि वो अगर वहाँ पे discriminant function का Wills lambda significant है, तो हम बोल सकते हैं yes, there is the significant difference between these two groups. If Wills lambda is not significant for the function, we cannot say that there is significant difference between or among this group. Again, we'll estimate the Wills lambda for the each independent variable, और वहाँ पे भी हम देखेंगे कि by using the Wills lambda, we'll see the significance of the Wills lambda और कहेंगे कि yes, इसका रोल ज़्यादा है, ये इसका Wills lambda significant है, तो इसका मतलब इसका रोल है individual, right? The next table जो हमको मिलेगा, next table is standardized canonical discriminant function coefficient. ये table बताएगा again the contribution of each independent variable for discriminating our dependent variable. Next is the structure matrix table. This is like standardized coefficient. इसका भी application उसी तरह से होता है. हम जैसे वहाँ पे factor loading हम लोग कर रहे थे, ये भी बताता है loading between यानी relationship between this discriminant function and variable. यानी ये भी बताता है कि किसका कितना role है. Almost role of these two statistical terms, standardized canonical discriminant function and structure matrix are almost same. Then we used to estimate the canonical discriminant function coefficient, that is the canonical correlation. और क्या होता है, will take the will square this canonical discriminant coefficient, and finally square will explain the means variance means how much like a discriminant regression analysis. If your R square is 0.75, that means 75% variation can be explained by this independent variable. So here also we estimate this is like discriminant coefficient only. Here also we'll estimate the canonical discriminant coefficient. और ये बताएगा suppose you have estimated canonical correlation coefficient and it is coming to 0.90. तो what we'll do, हम लोग इसका स्क्वायर करेंगे. स्क्वायर करने के बाद it will come 0.81. तो here you can say that 81% variation can be explained by this model. That means this model, power of this model is 81%. Right? So this is the use of this discriminant function coefficient, and then we'll estimate the centroid, and finally we'll classify our objects. So these are the tables. Which we are going to get whenever we are conducting that any discriminant analysis using software, SPSS or any statistical software. So that's why before taking this example, I have explained this, what are the outputs of the SPSS, or what are the outputs of your this software. So now I will take one example, and I will suggest you please read this example, and then we'll continue. Then we'll continue for the explanation of the output of this example, output of this research. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think in this study, researcher wants to categorize that manager of any that hotel or resort. He or she wants to categorize customers into two groups, or want to study the characteristics of two groups, means characteristics of the visited family and characteristics of the non-visited family, right? यानी दो ग्रुप है, एक फैमिली एक ग्रुप ऐसा है जो विजिट करता है, और एक ग्रुप ऐसा है जो विजिट नहीं करता है. अब दैट मैनेजर आप ये जानना चाहता है कि वो इनके बीच में डिफरेंस हम कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस वेरिएबल, दैट फैमिली इनकम, एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड द ट्रैवल, देन importance attached to the family vacation, right, household size, age of the household, like that. तो इसके बेसिस पे हम ये देखना चाहते हैं, हम डिफरेंस करना चाहते हैं. तो और उसके बाद से फिर हम फाइनली इसका एप्लीकेशन ये होगा, वो हम एक डिस्क्रिमिनेंट फंक्शन एक बनाएंगे. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द डिस्क्रिमिनेंट फंक्शन वी कैन एस्टिमेट डिस्क्रिमिनेंट स्कोर. तो फर्दर फ्यूचर में हम क्या करेंगे, दैट उस एरिया के उस फैमिली का क्या कर सकते हैं, we can estimate the discriminant score for the that family by using that discriminant function, and then we'll compare the compared with the centroid, means we'll compare the average value of visited family and non-visited family, और उसको हम ये देख लें कि whether this family will come in future or not. तो हम इसको मार्केटिंग करेंगे, अदरवाइज विल नॉट गो फॉर द मार्केटिंग. दिस इज द एप्लीकेशन ऑफ द रियल लाइफ एप्लीकेशन ऑफ द डिस्क्रिमिनेंट एनालिसिस. नाउ I have taken information, and then I already have entered in the software, and you see this is the first table of your SPSS output. As I told you that group statistics will give the mean and standard deviation of each independent variable. As we know, we have two groups, visited and non-visited. For visited, we have given 1. For non-visited, we have given 2, and combined we have total. So if you see that for visited family, जो family visit करती है, उसका average income, I don't know that unit of this income, but that is the 60.52. If you see for non-vested family, that average income is 41.91. But see, this is the descriptive statistics. By looking these descriptive statistics, we can get some idea. We cannot give any conclusion on the basis of the discriminant analysis. On the basis of the discriminant analysis, we can say something, we can get some idea, but we cannot give any conclusion. So here we are getting one idea that the average income of vested family is more compared to the average income of non-vested family. आप देख सकते हो. Again, if you see, if you compare the average of other independent variable, there are some difference. You see that here we have estimated combined average income also, that is 51.216 something. For vested it was 60, for non-vested it was 41, and for combined it is 51.216. So here we are getting some idea. That's why whenever we conduct that discriminant analysis, first we should go for the group statistics, and this is the interpretation of the group statistics. Right? Any problem in group statistics?
No, sir.
Okay. Now next is pooled within group matrices. Already I have discussed what is the meaning of this table. Basically, to see that multi-connectivity problem, even in the multiple regression also, we used to estimate the that correlation coefficient between or among the variables, and on the basis of the correlation coefficient, we decide whether we should continue our discriminant multiple regression analysis or discriminant analysis or not. Right? Here also this table will give the this correlation coefficient between the variables. If you see the correlation coefficient between the income, and that is the different thing. Correlation coefficient between travel and income is 0.190. Correlation coefficient between the vacation and income is 0.09. Correlation coefficient between household size and income is 0.089, and for age and income it is 0.014. आप सभी कोफिशिएंट को अगर कंपेयर करो, they are not highly correlated. Relationship is there, but very low correlation, right? So if there is low correlation, then only we can go for the discriminant analysis. And if you remember in the last session, it was different. In the factor analysis, if your correlation coefficient is high, then only we can go for the factor analysis. But here it is different, right? So we have, but you have to see, you have to check it. You have to estimate this correlation coefficient between or among the variables. On the basis of this correlation coefficient, only you can go forward. Otherwise, we should discontinue our discriminant analysis. It's okay that now you can explain it, this table. Any problem in this table?
No, sir, it's okay.
Okay. So now next is Wilks lambda. As I told you, Wilks lambda is estimated for both independent variables, means all independent variables, and for functions. So this table will explain the Wilks lambda for all independent variables. In the problem only, already we have given there are 5 independent variables, and Wilks lambda, as I told you, that Wilks lambda will lie between 0 to 1. And if it is near to 0, that means this is the significant, and if it is tends to 1, it will not significant. So we are not bothered about this CF statistics and other things. Only we see the yes, you have to see the Wilks lambda and value of Wilks lambda and significancy of the Wilks lambda. If it is not significant, then there is no U, but we'll consider it, right? So if you see in the in this table, we have estimated the Wilks lambda for the 5 variables, and Wilks lambda for the income, Wilks lambda for the vacation, Wilks lambda for the household size, and are significant, and Wilks lambda for the travel and age are not significant. So here we can get, अगर आप individually ले रहे हो, income को ले रहे हो, travel को ले रहे हो, vacation को अलग अलग ले रहे हो, तो तो अलग अलग ले रहे हो तो वहां पे रूल आप यू कैनॉट सी द रूल ऑफ दिस ट्रेवल एंड एज बिकॉज द significance that Wills lambda for travel and age are not significant. So this is the interpretation of Wills lambda. Whenever you are conducting any research using discriminant analysis, so in the result and discussion, you have to give the explanation of the Wills lambda. Next, as I told you, time of the discriminant analysis, we have to estimate the eigenvalue for each function. We have to estimate the canonical correlation also. And we discuss that discriminant function will depend on the number of the groups, how many groups you have in the dependent variable. But in our case, we have only two groups. Those groups are V-state family and non-V-state family. Means here we have only two groups, so we'll get only one function, 2 minus 1, one function, and we'll get the eigenvalue for one function and canonical correlation, that is the 0.80. Here, if you see that eigenvalue for the that function is 1.786 and canonical correlation is 0.801. So what is the interpretation of the canonical correlation that already we have discussed, and we according to this that discussion that will take the square of this canonical correlation, it will come 0.60. That means 64% variation can be explained by this discriminant model, this discriminant study. Now next slide will explain the Wills lambda for the discriminant function. Wills lambda for the discriminant function. Since we have only one discriminant function, because we had only two groups, so we'll get only one function. So we have estimated that software has estimated Wills lambda for that function, that is the 359, and that is significant. तो अब इसका ये whole function का होता है, तो that we have here, it is very important to give the interpretation of this Wills lambda. And here you see this Wills lambda is significant. Why it is significant? By looking this last column, we'll not bother about this third and fourth column. But if you see the last column will give the p-value, and if you compare this p-value with alpha, it is less than. If you are considering 0.01, 1%, then also it is less than. And if you are considering alpha is 0.05, again it is p-value is less than alpha. So here we can say that our Wills lambda is significant. And Wills lambda is significant. इसका मतलब यही हुआ, that means there is the significant difference between these two groups. Whatever groups you have taken, those groups, there is significant difference between those groups. So this is the now next table will explain the standardized discriminant function coefficient. So standardized discriminant function coefficient, anyone can explain it? What is the meaning of standardized discriminant function coefficient? क्या होता है? क्या इसका यूज है? Any idea? Hello?
No, sir, we don't have any idea right now.
Already I have discussed this by using this standardized discriminant function coefficient. We will see the contribution of each independent variable. Means our objective is to make the difference between these two groups, V-state family and non-V-state family, और इनके बीच में हमको difference करना है on the basis of income, household size, this travel and age, right? अब हम ये देखना चाहते हैं, suppose your objective is to see the role of each independent variable that can be seen by using the standardized discriminant coefficient. And what will do? बहुत simple है, इसमें क्या करेंगे? We'll compare the standardized coefficient of each independent variable. सबके स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कोएफिशिएंट को हम कंपेयर करेंगे एंड विल सी which variable has, which independent variable has more standardized coefficient. That means that if any variable has more standardized coefficient, then contribution of that variable will be more. So if you see here, for the income standardized coefficient is 7.798. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि दोनों को डिफरेंस करने में मीन्स विजिटेड फैमिली और नॉन विजिटेड फैमिली, जो फैमिली विजिट करती है होटल में और जो फैमिली विजिट नहीं करती है होटल में, उसमें इनकम का जो रोल है वो ज्यादा है. इसी तरह से दैट इज फॉलोड बाय द हाउस होल्ड साइज एंड लेस कंट्रीब्यूशन वी कैन सी फॉर द एज. तो दिस इज द interpretation of standardized discriminant function coefficient. Whenever you are conducting any research, definitely you have to be, because researcher means society researcher, that manager wants to know the contribution of each independent, किसका कितना importance है, and by this table only we can give the contribution of the each independent variable. So this is the interpretation of standardized coefficient. As I told you that this is the same thing like factor loading. वहाँ पे भी जो फैक्टर लोडिंग हम लोगों ने निकाला था, एंड ये भी इसका भी वही सेम चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है जिस तरह से स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कोएफिशिएंट का होता है. आई विल रीड दिस मीनिंग ऑफ दिस स्ट्रक्चर मैट्रिक्स. दिस इज द पूल विद इन ग्रुप कोरिलेशंस बिटवीन द डिस्क्रिमिनेटिंग वेरिएबल्स मींस इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स एंड स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड कैनोनिकल डिस्क्रिमिनेंट फंक्शन. फंक्शन और इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल के बीच में क्या रिलेशनशिप है, दैट विल बी एक्सप्लेन बाय द स्ट्रक्चर मैट्रिक्स. एंड बाय यूजिंग द, if you see this structure matrix table, but by this table also if you see the role of income is more compared to other variables, and here also if you see the role of age is minimum. So if you see in the bottom I have written this coefficient suggests that the income is most important predictor in discriminating between the groups, followed by household size and importance attached to family vacation. So that means we'll see the this value, and on the basis of this value we can see the importance of each factor, each independent variable. Now we'll see the role of unstandardized discriminant function coefficient. Again, I would like to know from you what is the interpretation, what is the meaning of this unstandardized discriminant coefficient, because already we have discussed 3-4 times for the multiple regression analysis and for the discriminant analysis. आप बता सकते हो anyone क्या इसका यूज होता है, for what purpose we use to estimate the standardized discriminant function coefficient? Anyway, again I will explain it. By using the unstandardized coefficient, we are going to develop our discriminant function. Like multiple regression analysis, हम क्या करते हैं? We have to finally, because the multiple regression analysis, we have to project our dependent variable. We have to estimate our dependent variable. We have to predict our dependent variable. So without any mathematical relationship, how you are going to predict it? So then what is the use of regression analysis if you are not making any mathematical relationship between y and x? So that's why by using the unstandardized regression coefficient, we used to make one mathematical relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. So here also, because without this discriminant score, without DI, we cannot decide that a particular person will go in, a particular object will go in which group, first group or second group. So by using the unstandardized discriminant function coefficient, we'll make one function, that is the discriminant function DI, and and then using that discriminant function, will estimate discriminant score for the each respondent. And then what we'll do, we'll estimate that a discriminant score for the each respondent, जो विजिट करता है और जो विजिट नहीं करता है. Then we'll take the average of their discriminant score. We'll take the average of their discriminant score और वो हमारा होगा, this is the centroid of the V-state group and this is the centroid for the non-V-state group. Or further, what we'll do, we'll estimate that for discriminant score for another family, and then we'll see that family will go in which group, V-state family or non-V-state family. I think this is the goal, this discriminant. Questions? Any? If you want one more discussion related to that discriminant analysis, you can tell.
Any participant have any query, please post it in the chat box. Hello?
Yes.
So there is a query. Swapan Pradhan has asked, can you please briefly speak about discriminant analysis for time series data?
Normally, we are not using this discriminant analysis for the time series data. Because you see that time series data means your data will depend on the time. Means if you have collected information, your information on different time. So for that, if you want to conduct this discriminant analysis for the time series data, then you have to conduct many discriminant. Means for each set of the data, you have to conduct one discriminant analysis.
Okay, sir. I think there are no further queries. Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. Now, at the end of the session, to deliver vote of thanks, I would like to call Mrs. Vinita Kumari, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Commerce, Magadh University, Bodh, Gaya. Hello.
Hello.
So, I would like to call Vinita ma'am to deliver vote of thanks. Is she available?
If you want some question, where is there? If you want something, will there be any input on cluster analysis? Shall I continue for 5-10 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for that, I have to share that slide. Start. So cluster analysis is the one type of the share करना है. दूसरा 1 minute. Like the folder. Yeah. Stop. Hello. So this is cluster analysis is the one type of one type of the interdependency technique, right? And this is the one type of the data reduction technique. Like factor analysis also, using the cluster analysis, we reduce the size of the data. But only difference is in factor analysis, we are going to reduce the number of the different number of the variables into different set of the factors. But in cluster analysis, what we'll do will reduce the number of the respondent, number of the objects. यानी हम फैक्टर एनालिसिस में हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे? We started with 20 variables and finally we found that there are 3-4 factors are required to explain it. But यहाँ पे cluster analysis में हम क्या करते हैं? स्लाइड दिख रहा है कि नहीं?
नहीं सर,
स्लाइड नहीं दिख रहा।
सर आप स्लाइड वाला पेज शेयर कर दीजिए, शेयर स्क्रीन। ये आपका डेस्कटॉप से ये डॉक्यूमेंट वाला फाइल
दिख रहा है?
हाँ दिख रही है सर, ये सर।
So by using the cluster analysis, we classify our object, our respondent, our household in different homogeneous groups. इसका मीनिंग समझिए, मीन्स वहां पे क्या था? As I told you, both this cluster analysis and factor analysis both are data reduction techniques, right? But in factor analysis, what we do, we used to reduce the number of the variables into different set of the factors. यानी suppose आपने 20 variables पे data collect किया है, तो हम factor analysis apply करेंगे और उसको 20 variables को will convert into 4-5 factors. But here in cluster analysis, what we'll do, will make the group of respondent, will make the group of the object. So that's why this here definition is given that cluster analysis is a class of techniques used to classify that homogeneous group, यानी within group that एक तरह का object होगा, एक तरह के respondent होंगे, दूसरे group में दूसरे तरह के object होंगे। एक छोटा सा simple example दे देते हैं, then I will come to this purpose of this cluster analysis. Suppose कोई कंपनी है, सपोज 4-wheeler कंपनी है, और वो चाहती है that manager of that company wants to classify their consumers on the basis of their opinion, right? तो कुछ हमारे कस्टमर ऐसे होंगे, they want that car with low price, right? They are conscious about the price. कुछ लोग क्या करेंगे? नहीं, they are conscious about the style, right? Some people they are conscious about the technique, right? Some people they are conscious about the finishing of the car. तो ये तरह तरह के रिस्पोंडेंट है, तरह तरह के आपके पास कंज्यूमर है, और कंपनी अब ये चाहती है कि हमारा कंज्यूमर को इस तरह का है. तो by applying this cluster analysis, we can classify our objects into different homogeneous groups. So the purpose of the cluster analysis is to make the groups in different homogeneous group, and within group क्या होता है that respondents and objects are similar, and between group they are not similar, right? So not take much time. You see here I have taken one example. Suppose there are 5 objects A, B, C, D, E. There are 5 objects. So you can see that in one cluster, in cluster number 4, there are 2 objects. There are 2 respondents. In cluster number 2, C respondent है. इसी तरह से हम पूरे, suppose you have collected information from the 200 respondents. What we'll do, we'll make 4-5 clusters, and in first cluster, suppose there are 4 clusters, तो एक first cluster में एक तरह के लोग होंगे, right? जिनका mindset एक तरह का होगा, जिनका response एक तरह से होगा, वो एक cluster में जाएगा, and second type of the people will come in the second cluster, next type of the people will come in the next cluster, like that. This is the main application of the cluster. You see, if you are doing marketing research, business research, many applications are seen of that cluster analysis. If you want to segmentation of the market, yes, we should go for the cluster analysis. if you want to segmentation of the consumer, we should go for the cluster analysis. If you want to see the behavior of buyers, we should go for the cluster analysis. For the selection of the testing market also we normally that marketing researcher उतना नहीं करते, like marketing researchers they used to use this cluster analysis. And final, as I told, that main application of cluster analysis also is reducing the data. So these are the application of the cluster analysis. Like other technique here also, I will not take much time, but definitely I will explain everything. Like other technique, like other techniques here also we have some statistics which are associated with the cluster analysis. Whenever we conduct cluster analysis, we should go for this cluster analysis. One is the cluster membership, and cluster membership क्या बताता है कि इस cluster में कौन कौन से object आ रहे हैं, कौन कौन से respondent आ रहे हैं. This is the cluster membership. Next is the cluster solution. Yani suppose you have collected information from the 100 respondent, then how many clusters are required to represent our whole data? Because you see, you have collected information from the 100 respondent, and now you are going to make 4-5 cluster. Again, you have to take the decision like factor analysis. Here also you have to take very strong decision regarding the number of the cluster. So ये चीज cluster चाहिए to represent our whole data. This is known as the cluster solution. This is the one more statistical term is there, that is the dendrogram. This is the graphical presentation of the clustering result, and this on the by using this graphical representation we decide number of the cluster. Again यहाँ पे भी जहाँ जिसे वहाँ पे if you remember in the factor analysis we discussed 4 criteria for the decision of the number of the factors: prior knowledge and some script plot and like that. Here also we have so many techniques. I mean, this dendrogram is one of them, and by using the dendrogram we decide number of the clusters, means how many clusters are required to represent our data. And in dendrogram the number of the vertical lines will represent the number of the clusters. You see, थोड़ा सा ये hypothetical होता है. Normally we use how we are going to make the cluster. Clusters are made on the basis of the distance. ऐसे आप hypothetically बोल सकते हो. Distance means what is the gap between the responses given by the one respondent to another respondent. Suppose I have given some response and you have given some response, right? Then by using this analysis we'll measure the gap कि हमारे रिस्पांस में और आपके रिस्पांस में क्या गैप है. तो उसके लिए भी टेक्निक होता है. दिस इज नोन एज द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द क्लस्टर सेल. Then next is what are the different steps involved in the cluster analysis. Here also we have 4-5 steps: formulation of the problem, selection of the distance measure. Yes, because without that distance measure we cannot make the cluster. Then selection of the clustering procedure, then decide the number of the cluster, interpretation of the cluster, क्योंकि finally आप क्या करोगे, प्रोफाइल जो क्लस्टर आप बनाओगे उससे उस क्लस्टर से you are going to get the characteristics of that cluster. So this is very important to give the interpretation and profile of the cluster. And finally we have to see the validation of cluster analysis. Already we have discussed, means in formulation of the problem we have to select the variables, क्या variables आपको चाहिए, and whether this is irrelevant or relevant we have to decide by using the literature review, and then we have to take the decision about the sample size. Now second step is the selecting the distance measures. I will tell you, please you should not bother about this different type of the methods. Here I have written so many methods, right? Use of we have same use of all these methods. You can select any method, or you can go for all methods, and you conduct your cluster analysis, and after that you can compare your result. So these are the methods, but normally Euclidean distance are used to measure the gap between the responses given by the respondent, right? Some other Manhattan and some other methods are there to measure the gap between between are among the responses given by the respondent. That's why here I mentioned that use of different distance measure may lead to different clustering result. Hence, it is advisable to use different measures and compare the result. So again, the next step is the selection of the clustering procedure. Basically, there are two procedures, hierarchical and non-hierarchical. In one method, हम क्या करते हैं, हम ऐसे मोटा-मोटी आपको बता दे रहे हैं. In one procedure, what we used to do, we used to take that all objects, all respondent in one cluster or in different stages पे हम तोड़ते जाते हैं, and according to requirement, we used to select our that number of the cluster. But इस यहाँ पे क्या करते हैं, इस प्रोसीजर में in the beginning हम मान लेते हैं कि सभी ऑब्जेक्ट्स हमारा all objects will come in the one cluster. But in the non-hierarchical method it is different. Again, this is the technique for the hierarchical clustering. with measure करने के लिए, distance measure करने के लिए linkage method, single, complete and average method होता है. Basically, but yeah, you should know about this method, but what is the happening inside this method, we should not bother about that. Single linkage method, ये क्या होता है, that is the average, I think it is given. Some other methods are there. If you are using that variance method, the word method, it's going to go to word method and so on. And then these are the definitions of the single linkage method. If you want, I will send this slide to Dr. Pandey, and you can get it from me. And so this single linkage, this is the minimum distance between the two objects. This complete linkage is the that is the average of the maximum and minimum, and sorry, that distance for the maximum distance, and average income is that average of all this. Now next, this is the important because we have to decide the number of the clusters. This is very important because you are required to explain. You have to try for the explanation for the 100%. You cannot explain 100%, but you can try for 100% explanation. क्योंकि आपने you have collected information from the 100 respondent. Now you have converted all those 100 respondent into 4 clusters, or on the basis of the 4 clusters you are going to give conclusion. तो ये आपको देखना होगा कि कितना क्लस्टर लें कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेनेशन कर सकते हैं. So normally this it is decided on the basis of that literature review, concept, experience of the researcher, and again one table is there, that agglomerative table. On the in that table, one column will be given to you. On the basis of that column, we decide number of the clusters. Even in the statistical software, this SPSS, that option is given. That researcher will decide, yes, I want 3 clusters, right? I have collected responses from the 100 respondents and I want 3 clusters. So researcher what will that software will give 3 cluster and members of each cluster. यानी अगर आप 3 cluster बनाते हो तो उस cluster के, यही सबसे बड़ा important है. जब तक आप group नहीं बनाओगे, on the basis of the group only we can give the characteristics of the group. यानी ये cluster number 1 का characteristics ये है, yes ये low price वाले हैं, इनको ऐसे बाइक चाहिए जिसका price low. Cluster 2 वाले ऐसे हैं जिनका इनका characteristics ये है कि हम क्या करेंगे, इनका characteristics ये है कि नहीं पैसा कितना भी हो इससे कोई मतलब नहीं, इनका जो है स्टाइल अच्छा होना चाहिए. बट इन थर्ड ग्रुप अगर आप देख सकते हो, यस यहाँ पे नहीं, सब कुछ ना, कोई हमसे मतलब नहीं, स्टाइल कैसा है, प्राइस कितना भी हो, बट दैट शुड बी दैट माइलेज शुड बी देयर. तो वी कैन गेट सम आइडिया ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द रिस्पोंडेंट इन्वॉल्व इन एनी क्लस्टर्स, राइट. जो जिस क्लस्टर में जो रिस्पोंडेंट इन्वॉल्व रहते हैं उसके बेसिस पे, उसके responses पे we identify their characteristics. Then finally we'll check the validity of that cluster analysis. Here also I have taken one example to explain this cluster analysis, and I have applied this output of the spaces will be given here. So I will suggest please read this example. Here, objective of the researcher is to clustering the consumers on the basis of the attributes towards the topic shopping, and researchers have collected information on the 6 variables using the Likert scales from a 7-point Likert scale. Variables are given. So here responses are taken from the 19 or 20 respondent. Now, if you see, this is the one output of the cluster analysis. Here you can give some time, 1-2 minute time. If you see the first column, this is the stage, and first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, and the next 2 columns you see cluster combined, यानी कौन सा ऑब्जेक्ट किसके साथ कंबाइंड हो रहा है. फाइनली हमको ये बनाना है कि दैट इन क्लस्टर नंबर 1 में कौन आएगा, क्लस्टर नंबर 2 में कौन आएगा. यानी अब अगर आप देखो तो ये क्या बताता है, इन स्टेज 1 केस नंबर 14 यानी रिस्पोंडेंट नंबर 14 इज combined with the respondent number 16. Here the correlation coefficient is 1 यानी minimum coefficient है. इसका मतलब, इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन ये हुआ इस कोफिशिएंट का, इसका मतलब उनके रिस्पॉन्सेज में गैप बहुत कम है, यानी इनको एक साथ रख सकते हैं. राइट, ये इंटरप्रिटेशन होता है. एंड देन ये बताता है कि यानी ये केस 14 नंबर केस इसके पहले कभी नहीं आया था, और केस नंबर 16 कभी इसके पहले नहीं हुआ था, और अगेन इट विल कम इन द 6th स्टेज. एंड इफ यू सी द 6th स्टेज, इन द 6th स्टेज क्लस्टर 1 में 10 और क्लस्टर 2 में 14. अगर ये देखिए 14 इट वाज कमिंग इन द स्टेज 1, अगेन इट विल कम इन द स्टेज 6. So this is the interpretation of this table. Definitely it requires some more time, but I will give this interpretation of the another table. You see here I have given I want 2 cluster, 3 cluster, 4 cluster, right? इतने cluster हमको चाहिए. अगर हमको चाहिए, I have collected information from the 20 respondent या 19 respondent and I want to make 2 cluster. तो स्पेसेस करके बता देता है कि केस नंबर 1, रिस्पोंडेंट नंबर 1 will go in the first cluster, respondent number 2 will go in the second cluster, respondent number 3 will go in the first cluster, respondent number 4 will go in the fourth cluster, respondent number 5 will go in the second cluster, like that. अगर आप चाहते हो 3 cluster तो क्या होगा? That means you are making 3 clusters, so that means case 1 will go in the first, case 2 will go in the second, again case 3 will go in the first, case 4 will go in the third, like that. So we can assign the position of each respondent, each case according to their cluster group. If you want 4 clusters, so we can decide the position of the cluster. This is the, here you have given the membership of the clusters. Next is the as I told you, by using the dendrogram we can decide the number of the cluster. If you see here, we have to decide how many clusters you want. You see, suppose you have decided you want only 3 clusters. 3 clusters means, if you see in the first stage, थोड़ा सा दिक्कत हो रही है, but you can see 14, 16, 10, 4 और 19, they are combined at the first stage, right? एक साथ हैं. फर्स्ट स्टेज में एक वर्टिकल लाइन दिख रहा है, 18 अलग है. Now you see 2 and case number 2 and 13, they are combined together at the first stage. Next में आप देखो 5, 11, 9, 20, these cases are combined at one place. 3 और 8, फिर 6, 7, 12, 1, 17 and like that. तो इस तरह से अगर आपको चाहिए, सपोज यू वांट 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 क्लस्टर तो आप फर्स्ट स्टेज में इस तरह से डिसाइड करेंगे। अगर आपको चाहिए इफ यू वांट 3 क्लस्टर, तो कौन कौन से केस जाएंगे? फर्स्ट क्लस्टर में होगा, इन फर्स्ट क्लस्टर I will get 14, case number 14, case number 16, case number 10, case number 4, case number 19 and case number 18। अगर आपको 3 क्लस्टर चाहिए तो सेकेंड क्लस्टर में होगा केस नंबर 2, केस नंबर 13, केस नंबर 5, केस नंबर 11, केस नंबर 9, केस नंबर 20 एंड लास्ट में होगा 3, 8, 7, 12, 1, 17 एंड 15। ये तो हो गया कि आपने क्लस्टरिंग कर लिया, राइट। और आपने ये आपको ये पता चल गया कि हाउ कौन सा केस, कौन सा रिस्पोंडेंट किस क्लस्टर में जाएगा, कौन सा ऑब्जेक्ट, कौन सा हाउसहोल्ड किस क्लस्टर में जाएगा। नेक्स्ट आपको क्या करना होगा, दिस इज द लास्ट थिंग इन दिस सेशन। नेक्स्ट आपको इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना होगा जो आपने ग्रुप बनाया है उसका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या है। तो हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू आइडेंटिफाई द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द ईच क्लस्टर, व्हाट विल डू, हम अब सेलेक्ट कर लेंगे, एक अलग फाइल बना लेंगे फॉर क्लस्टर 1 में जो भी रिस्पोंडेंट हैं उसका एक फाइल बना लेंगे, राइट। क्लस्टर 2 में जो भी रिस्पोंडेंट हैं उसका फाइल बना लेंगे, जो भी रिस्पोंडेंट हैं इन द क्लस्टर 3 विल मेक अनदर फाइल फॉर दैट क्लस्टर। और क्या करेंगे, विल टेक द एवरेज ऑफ ईच वेरिएबल, और जिस वेरिएबल का एवरेज ज्यादा है दैट वेरिएबल will be the characteristics of that cluster, यानी जिसका एवरेज ज्यादा होगा वही बताएगा कि इसका क्लस्टर, इस क्लस्टर का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ये। दिस इज द इंपॉर्टेंट द क्लस्टर एनालिसिस। थैंक यू, थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session. If anyone has any query, please post it in the chat box. Sir, Swapan Pradhan has asked, can you please remind me if Mahalanobis distance measure is used for cluster analysis? No need to elaborate, just say yes or no.
Can use what we can do, we can apply that both distance, Euclidean distance and Mahalanobis distance, and you can compare. But if you want, you can take either that distance measure or this distance measure, up to researcher.
Any other question? Any participant, any queries? I think so there are no more questions. So lastly, I would like to call Mrs. Vinita Kumari ma'am, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Commerce, Magadh University, Bodh, Gaya, to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Diksha. Very good afternoon to our respected expert, Dr. Abhay Kumar Tiwati sir, our seniors, teachers, all the participants, members, and all who are present here. It's going very informative, interesting, fruitful, and useful session since day one of our 1 week national faculty development program. Today, Dr. Abhay sir added a very important and needed information to our knowledge. Very nicely, sir explained about the factor analysis and discriminant analysis in the 2 of the sessions, like the importance of the factor analysis. Why it is important? It is important because it reduces the size of the data, it removes the duplicacy, and many things he explained about the factor analysis. Abhay sir also given a brief knowledge about the application of the factor analysis, like what and where we apply this in our research work. Sir also explained in detail about the different steps of factor analysis, aims of the discriminant analysis, And one good thing happened that when my name was calling and I was unable to connect with the session, sir took a few more minutes and explained about the cluster analysis, and it became my non-connectivity became very fruitful to all of us. So thank you so much, sir, for your depth knowledge about today's session, and you enlightened us with your knowledge and information. We are always thankful to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your precious time that you shared with us tirelessly. Thank you, sir. And here now, I would like to thank hearty thanks to our dedicated participants who are giving their continuous presence in our this FDB program, because your presence giving us motivation and encouraging us to provide you best of the best. Thank you so much for your presence. I would like to thank to our member of organizing team and today's coordinator, Diksha Sinha. Thank you so much, dear, for your effort, your dedication, your support. Thank you so much. I would like to give my hearty thanks to our head and dean, Professor G.N. Sharma sir, who is always supporting us, motivating us, encouraging us, directing us for providing you new things, new knowledge, new information. I would like to thank all my seniors of the Department of PG Department of Commerce, Magadh University. I want to give my thanks to all the members of the organizing team who are directly, indirectly, tirelessly supporting, motivating us, and without, they are pillars of our program, every program, and without them, we cannot expect our programs to get success. So thank you so much, all of you, all the members of the organizing team. Thank you, all the persons present here. And the last but not the least, I would say him CPU of program, because he is the he is in search of new ideas, new information, and to provide something very deep knowledge to the deserving candidate, Dr. Dharen Kumar Pandey sir, my colleague. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, all of you. Have a nice time. Stay blessed, stay happy, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your encouraging words. It means a lot.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you all the participants for your participation here.
Sure, I would like to give an important information. Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
Dear participants, this is to inform that you have to appear in an assessment test, and the link of the test will be provided on your email today itself. You need to open that link at 2:30 p.m. or it may be 2:45 if the session delays, tomorrow's session delays. And you will be given only 10 minutes to appear in the test. There will be 20 questions and the time will be only 10 minutes. The form will be divided into two parts. The first part will contain your name, your designation, the institution from which you belong, your mobile number. But there is a validation test in the first part where you will enter your name. You need to enter your name. Only the first letter will be capitalized. For example, if you take my name, Dharen Kumar Pandey, then it should be D capital, H-A-R-E-N will be in small letters. Again, a single space, then K will be capital, U, M, A, R will be small letters. Space P will be capital, A, N, D, E, Y in a small letters. If you do any mistake in typing your name, if you use capital letters, it will not work. I have not put the validation for the email ID because many of you in hurry will make mistakes, but I need to place validation for the names because we will issue the certificates in your registered name. And if the registered name matches in the same format, then only you can appear for the test. If you have any correction in the registered name, for example, if you have many people complain me that they have not received the email, but when I check, they have entered wrong email at the time of registration. So if you feel that you have made a mistake in typing your name in the registration form, you can inform me so that I make the necessary changes in the form. I will also send a sample link to you all so that you verify your name by entering into the form. I will only activate the first part of the form in the sample link. And if you have any difficulty, you can mail me the email ID that has been provided in the brochure of the program. Second, you need to enter your details very carefully. Don't enter assistant professor if you are a research scholar. Don't enter ex-research scholar if you are a research scholar or assistant professor. Because I will not entertain any changes in your certificate if it is due to your mistake. Again, many people enter their affiliation in different ways. For example, they will mistake. For example, if it is Magadh University, you can enter wrong spelling. I have seen most of the people enter Magadh. M will be a small university, U will be capital. It is not an error. The certificate will be issued by the system itself if you pass the examination. But your certificate will not look like a quality certificate because it will contain errors in the affiliation. So kindly fill the details very carefully. This information I'm not going to tell again. You have, I will send an email and the details and all the instructions will be in that email. You need to open that email at 2:30 or 2:45. The time will be announced in tomorrow's second session. If the session is early, we will start the test at 2:30, and if it is delayed, we will try to open the link at 2:45. The link will be open from 2:45 to 2:55. If it is open at 2:30, it will be closed at 2:40. Only 10 minutes will be allowed for 20 questions, and 10 minutes are sufficient for those questions. Wish you all the best. Thank you. I'm ending today's session. If you have any doubt, you can put your doubts in the chat box. Or shall I end the session?
So the exam will be conducted today.
No, it will be conducted tomorrow after this second session.
Tomorrow after the second session. Okay.
Yeah, at 2:30, probably 2:30. If not, then it will start at 2:45.
Okay. And okay, sir.
Any queries?
I think there are no queries.
नाम आप लोगों को कैसे एंटर करना है, जो लोग पहले प्रोग्राम्स अटेंड कर चुके हैं उन्हें पता है सर्टिफिकेट इशू के समय क्या दिक्कतें आती हैं। नाम आपको उसी फॉर्मेट में, जैसे आपको अभी स्क्रीन पे दिख रहा है दीक्षा सिन्हा, नेम, नेम शुड बी इन दिस फॉर्मेट। दीक्षा के बाद एक स्पेस, सिंगल स्पेस, डबल स्पेस will not be accepted by the computer.
So
The
someone has
first letter,
a
okay?
link will be sent in advance. The
Yeah,
link
link we will send today itself, but it will not open. The actual test link will not be active. It will be activated at the start of the test. And I will also send a sample link. That sample link will contain only the first part of the test. That is the important details that we collect: your name, designation, affiliation, and mobile number. You can practice in that sample link so that you do not face any difficulty in typing your name at the time of examination. Because you have only 10 minutes, and if you do mistakes, your precious time will be lost. Will the mobile be sufficient to answer the questions, or laptop needed? Mobile phone will be sufficient, but if you use a laptop, then it will be more convenient because you can see the questions properly. The bigger the screen, the better will be the visibility of the Google form. Any more questions?
No, sir. I think there are no queries.
Okay, then thank you for the today's session. Thank you, Diksha, for such a wonderful coordination.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhaiya. Thank
Vinita Madam, for your thanks and extending your thanks to me. Thank you, participants. I'm now ending the session. We'll meet again at 3:20 p.m.